What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Moments with Mel. Today we're going to be talking about what I consider one of the hardest, most challenging, worst days of my life. I feel like this story, this experience says a lot, especially in the current climate that we are in with the kind of civil and political unrest that we're experiencing. So I just kind of wanted to share an experience that I had that was very impactful in my life. It was a warm, sunny summer day in Atlanta, Georgia. July 22nd, 2019, to be exact. The bees were buzzing, the birds were chirping, and I took my dog to Piedmont Park to play, as we usually would. I'd take her for about an hour every day just to get her energy out. So this day was no different, except that it was very, very hot and I wasn't feeling my best. I was already feeling sick. So I was kind of pushing myself physically already. And, but she needed to be taken out. So, we make our way to Piedmont Park. And the way we usually get to the dog park is this little back trail right off the belt line. There's this little kind of back alley. Well, it's not an alley, but it's like a path that leads directly to the dog park. Okay, if you know, you know. Because if you don't go that way, then you have to kind of walk through the whole, like a long way through the park to get to it. So we usually take that route, and that is the route I took on this particular day. And so we start making our way to the dog park. And the path is like surrounded by all this high grass. They didn't cut the grass. So there's this high grass, and I'm like trying to get through this grass as quick as possible because I don't know what's in this grass. So my dog and I, we kind of just rush through this grass area. We run through this grass area. And when we get to the dog park, I realize that I don't have my phone. So, I'm like, so my first thought was I probably left it in the car. Like I said, it was hot. I wasn't feeling well. So I wasn't about to get the dog, walk all the way back to the car and check to see. I was just like, you know what? Most likely I left it in the car. No big deal. I didn't really think much of it. So about an hour goes by, and we get back to the car, and I start looking for my phone, and I don't see it. Like it wasn't there. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe I dropped it while we were running through this path. So I go to the path to look for my phone, and there's another lady there, and she's looking for her phone too because she dropped hers in the high grass too. So we're both looking for our phones in this little path, and she finds hers. So she uses hers to call mine. And I usually keep my cell phone on vibrate, so it would have been hard to hear, but I'm listening for it, looking for it while she's dialing it. So she tries that a few times, and she doesn't, like, it's nowhere to be found. I'm like, okay, I don't see it, I don't hear it, I guess it's not here. So, I thanked her, she went on her way, and I kept looking. So eventually I'm like, you know what, let me go home and check the Find My Phone app thing. So I make my way home. I don't, thankfully it wasn't a long drive or anything like that, but I made my way home. I'll do the Find My Phone, and it's showing that it's at Piedmont Park. Now while I'm doing this, it starts pouring down raining, like monsooning. I mean 2 degrees short of a hurricane. Okay, like it was pouring down raining. So I'm sitting here like, great, like not only can I not go right now because it's pouring down, but also if my phone is out, it's probably getting damaged now, like water damage. And let me preface all this by saying the reason why I was so crazy about getting my phone back is because there were files on there. I didn't have it backed up. I already know, you ain't got to say nothing, okay? So I had a lot of files on there. Music stuff, just ideas, some very sentimental pictures of my family that just wasn't backed up. Okay, so now I know, but let me say this also. So the way my lifestyle is set up, it doesn't require a lot of security on my phone. I've since changed, but I work from home. I usually spend a lot of time by myself working from home, and so it just doesn't require me to have this whole wall of like security up usually. So at the time, my phone didn't have a passcode on it to get into it or anything like that. And at the time, I had my phone in a wallet case, which means the case that I had on my phone was able to hold cards, and I did have my credit card and my debit card and my license, all of that in the case on the phone. So you have to now keep in mind, it's usually just me in my habitat working, all that kind of stuff. And when I go out, I always have my phone on my person. Okay, I've never lost my phone before, ever. In all the years that I've had a cell phone, I've never lost it. So anyway, it's pouring down raining, and I'm like, I was so ready to get my phone. Like, I was like, I gotta find my phone. Like, so I left while it was still raining. I just like left and was looking for it. So I go, it stops raining, right? And I get back to the park area. I'm looking through the path again. I'm looking into the dog park area, and there are these two young like college kids out there. So I asked one of them if they could call my phone for me, because I had my computer with me this time, and I was trying to use the Find My Phone app in the park, but that part of the park has really like low Wi-Fi, so it was like going in and out. It wasn't really working. So I asked them if they could call my phone. They try. I don't hear it. And then like I check the Find My Phone app again, and it shows that my phone has moved. So I'm like, so they actually volunteered to come with me to the new point, right? And the point ends up being like near one of the entrances of the park, like not kind of on the side where the dog park is. So we all walk over to this entrance, and it takes us to like this empty field, kind of like it looked like where a house used to be, but it got torn down. And then like right next to it was this huge, really fancy house for sale. So the guy who was with us, he's like, I don't know, y'all, like this might be like, it's a little too sketch for me. So they end up leaving, and I'm by my lonesome at this point, and I'm like, look, I'm trying to find this phone. So I start kind of canvassing that area, and I go up to kind of like where the house is. I don't know if it's a vacant house or not. I just know that it's for sale. And I'm trying to look, because my thought process was like, well, maybe if a person has my phone, maybe they like took everything and then like tossed it in the backyard of this house or whatever, thinking it was vacant. So I'm looking, I don't see anything. And at this point, it's starting to get dark. So I'm like, you know what? I don't need to be out here by myself. So I go back home, and I text my neighbors from my computer with my Google Voice number. And I text a couple of my neighbors. I'm like, hey, like my phone, I lost my phone at the park. I could use some help looking if anybody's available. So my neighbor, for the purposes of this video, his name is going to be Harry. My neighbor Harry like hops in. He's like, I got you. Like, I can help. I'm available. And just to let you know about Harry. So Harry is a white gay guy. He's a realtor as well. So a really cool guy. So he decides to help me out, and I'm like so thankful. So while I'm at home, I do the Find My Phone thing again, just to make sure the point is where it was. I also checked my email, and I saw that I got a notification from my bank telling me that my cards have been used and they don't recognize the activity. So I'm like, okay, well, my ID, my credit card, my debit card has apparently been stolen. So now we're into identity theft waters, and now I'm just like, oh my God, like I'm trying to stay calm as I can, So I let my bank know. I'm like, click everything, just let them know, like, no, I didn't do this. So whoever it was, they tried to get like $70 worth of pizza from like a nearby Pizza Hut, and then they tried to Venmo themselves like $500. So I'm like already just like, yo, this is a lot. Also, when I was looking at the house that was for sale, I got the contact information from the realtor that was listed at the house, the listing agent. So I called her, I left a message, very, professional, like, hey, my name is Monroe. I misplaced my phone at the park. It's showing as being at the location of this home. Just calling to see if there's any way we can take a look. Stuff like that. And so I called her, the number she had on the sign at the house, and I also found like her realtor, her broker's office. I called everything because I'm trying to get my phone. So Harry and I head out to the part where we see the phone is showing it, to the little point on Find My Phone. And at this point, nightfall is coming, like it's getting darker and darker. We pull up to the house that's for sale, and Harry, he's like, has this black Escalade, like it's a really nice car. We pull up to this house. It's getting dark. We're kind of looking around the premises, and we're not seeing anything. And as we're heading back to the car, we see another car pull up. Turns out it's the listing agent for the house. So Harry goes to talk to her. Now, the way we were in there, we were in the driveway. She pulled up behind us, so we couldn't get out. So yeah, she blocks us in. Harry goes to talk to her. I didn't say anything because I already kind of knew, like, I shouldn't do the talking in this situation. I was like, I'm just going to let him do it. So he goes to talk to her. Now, he's a realtor. She's a realtor. He gives her his card. And he comes back to the car where I am, and he's like, she called the police. So I'm like, great. So not only did I lose my phone, I also had my identity stolen. And now I have the cops coming. So I'm like, this day could not get any better. So it doesn't take long for the police to show up. Meanwhile, Harry and I are in the car. The lady is in her car. Everybody's in their car just waiting for the police to show up. So they show up, and it's two male police officers. Both are people of color. One was black, one was Hispanic. And they come up. They're just trying to, like, see what's going on. And the lady starts going off. She was just like, they came to the property. I don't know these people. And she clearly got my message because she played it for the officer. She's like, she left a message. I don't know what's going on. And all of this. And meanwhile, Harry is getting more and more bothered and upset because he realizes it's a situation of racial profiling. And he goes off on the lady. He's like, you should be ashamed of yourself. Like, he turned into a whole Janet Elliott. You hear me? Jane Elliott. Anyway, he goes in. He's like, you should be ashamed of yourself. You're only doing this because she's black. All of this. So the police, I'm trying to be like a peacemaker at this point. Like, the police are trying to, like, just calm him down, diffuse the situation. It didn't get too crazy, but they just, tried to calm it down. They were like, all right, well, we'll help you try to find your phone. So at this point, it's still raining a bit, and it's like nighttime. So they have their flashlights. We're looking, and the lady wouldn't let us in the house. I was like, that's fine. Can you just go look and see if you see anything in the house? So she goes in the house. She doesn't see anything. We're searching the plot next door, which is this empty, like, abandoned lot, and we're looking, and, like, they're trying to call it. I'm doing the Find My Phone thing, and it's just not popping up. So everybody goes home, and thankfully it didn't get any more crazier than that. I go back home, and that night I just could not sleep. Like, it was so much to process. Just having everything that happened that day, to be the victim of a crime, and then also have the cops called on me as a victim of a crime, was just, it was a lot. And that whole night I was just, really waiting. I was just waiting for the sun to rise because I was so anxious to get to my phone. And through the night I kept checking the Find My Phone thing, and I saw that the points moved. So every time it moved, I would take a screenshot. As soon as the sun rose, like, I grabbed my dog, we went to the park, and I just started scaling the park, like, all these little points. I ended up going to, like, businesses. I mean, it was crazy. I was all over that park. And eventually, like, I went to one of the points. I stopped this young black guy, and I asked him for help, and he was a little hesitant, but I was just like, and I understand because it's Atlanta, like, you never know who might want what in Atlanta, but he ended up helping me, and he, like, helped ring it or something like that, and I heard it, and, like, I was on the hunt from there. And so actually one of the park employees, who was a kind of a middle-aged older white man, helped me to go to that point where I heard it, and, like, went into the forest, ended up being, like, deep into the forest, and helped me find it and recover it. And the screen was cracked, and the whole thing too, like, a big part of this is that the battery was going down while all this was happening. So it was a race against time. Like, if I didn't find the phone by the time the battery died, I wouldn't have found it at all. So by the time I got to the park the next morning, it was on like 46%. So I'm just really thankful it ended the way it was. I was able to recover all of my files, and I'm just really, really thankful. But, you know, this story and this experience was really like life-changing for me in a number of ways. Not only because, you know, of the racial profiling that I experienced, but also just the way my community helped me and came together. Like, you know, here I was, my white gay friend and neighbor helping me, you know, young white and Asian college kids, you know, a white man at the park. So, you know, I hope the story just shows that, you know, while there still is a lot of ugliness in our world, we all have the power to be the difference that we want to see. So, yeah, that's my experience, and it turned out all right for me. I hope you guys are just taking care of yourselves. This is a very, it's just a very stressful time that we're living in. And so just know that I love you all, and we're in it together. And I'm just hoping for a better day in humanity as we continue to push towards goodness. Yeah, so thanks for watching. Subscribe if you feel it. And I'll see you guys later. Truth, light, love.